I'm the kind of guy you forget existed the second you leave the room. That's not me fishing for sympathy, just stating a fact. I'm a background character in most people's lives, a reliable blur in the office who's always early, never complains, and eats lunch alone. 3 years I worked under Erin Lattimore, director of strategic planning, queen of passive aggression, and an absolute tyrant in heels. Everyone in our department learned how to code switch around her. She'd smile at you like a mentor, then gut you in meetings with constructive feedback, so cold it left bruises. I watched her get promoted twice off the backs of other people's work, including mine. I was the one who cracked the Montreal project that saved the company's Q3 numbers in 2022. Erin presented it to the board as her own idea, and my name wasn't even in the footnotes. I didn't even get a bonus. Just a great work, and a pat on the shoulder like a dog that fetched a stick. But that's not what made me snap. No, what made me decide I was going to destroy her career happened 6 weeks before the company Christmas party. It started with an email. It always does. Subject line: weekly task consolidation, please review. I clicked it like I always do, dead-eyed and exhausted, expecting another round of duplicated tasks for me to sort through. But this time, something caught my eye. Erin had attached a spreadsheet summarizing team efficiency metrics, and there was a tab labeled Performance Heat Map. My name was highlighted in red. Red. The legend said, underperforming. Underperforming. After 11-hour days and weekends in the office, I was underperforming? There was no mistake. My numbers were there. My name. My stats. But they were manipulated subtly. Hours shaved. Projects reassigned. Just enough to make me look like I was skating by. I'd seen her do this before. To Ron. To Sandra. To Harper. Each time, the person got sidelined. Then restructured. Then gone. Harper had cried in the break room for 45 minutes the day after she got the email from HR. No one said anything. Erin even sent flowers to her house. The audacity. But I wasn't going to let it happen to me. Not quietly. The first person I told was Vanessa from marketing. We'd worked late together a few times and had a mutual hatred for Erin's leadership style. She was the one who told me what no one else dared to whisper. She's gunning for your job, you know, Vanessa said, as darting around like we were in a spy thriller. She already looped in Derek from IT on your credentials. She wants to handpick your replacement. My stomach dropped. I haven't even done anything. Vanessa rolled her eyes. Exactly. That's what makes you a threat. You're not a yes man. You're just competent. I didn't sleep that night. For the next 3 weeks, I went full ghost mode. Stayed silent. Watch her. Kept all my logs. Saved every email. Took photos of the whiteboards after meetings. I used my own laptop at work, logged into a private spreadsheet, and backed up everything on an encrypted drive. I learned something important. Erin wasn't just unethical. She was criminal. What I uncovered still makes my heart race when I think about it. It wasn't just me she was sabotaging. She was inflating expense reports, double-charging department purchases, padding travel budgets for client meetings that never happened. I found one instance where she booked a $4,000 retreat for herself and wrote it off as a team-building exercise. No one on the team went. I was listed as attended in the submission. By the time the office holiday party rolled around, I had everything. And I mean everything. Spreadsheets, signed receipts, altered reports, email threads, even Slack messages she deleted but I had recovered via screenshot. A whole dossier of career-ending proof. But I needed one moment. A catalyst. The party. Because Erin? She lives for that holiday party. Every year she hosts it like she's royalty, floating in like a Hallmark villain in some overpriced cocktail dress, giving fake toasts about teamwork, while digging the knife in everyone's backs. This year, I was going to toast her. The office holiday party was held at this swanky downtown venue with exposed brick, fairy lights, and a hired jazz trio that made everyone feel like they were in some overpriced Netflix drama. Open bar. Past hors d'oeuvres. The kind of event where managers get loose and say things they can't unsay. Erin was in full form. She wore red fitting. A deep wine-colored dress that screamed, "Look at me, peasants." She kissed cheeks, sipped from a stemless wine glass, and laughed that sharp, empty laugh that sounded like it was copied from a rom-com villain. I showed up an hour late, just to make sure she noticed. I wasn't wearing my usual neutral palette or thrifted blazer. I wore black on black, tie sharp enough to cut glass, my beard freshly trimmed. I wanted her to see me and, for once, not underestimate me. Vanessa spotted me first. She raised her martini glass with a smirk. You look like you came to crash a funeral, she said. Close, I replied, just waiting for the body to hit the floor. She gave me a look, half surprised, half delighted. Tell me you're not bluffing. I just smiled. The plan was simple. I didn't want revenge through whispers. I wanted witnesses. The party reached its peak around 9:45 p.m. The CFO had already left after one too many bourbons. Most people were drunk enough to stop pretending they liked each other. Erin stood in the center of it all, giving her annual speech, one hand curled around a wine glass, the other gesturing with fake warmth. I just want to say how proud I am of this team. We've achieved so much this year, and I know we'll go even further in 2025. Let's raise a glass to another incredible year. The applause was polite. I waited for the moment she paused to sip. Then I stepped forward. Glass raised. Heart pounding. I'd like to say something, if I may. The room went still. Everyone turned, including Erin. Her smile froze mid-expression like someone had pressed pause. Go ahead, she said, voice tight. I didn't take the microphone. I didn't need one. The room was silent enough. I looked her in the eyes and said, Erin, how about we raise a glass to your private retreat to Palm Springs? Billed as a team-building expense when not one person from your team was invited. Gasps. Actual gasps. Erin blinked, smiled, faltered. What are you talking about? I held up my phone and tapped the screen. I've got the receipts, the altered expense reports, the falsified travel logs, and the submission to HR with my name forged as an attendee. Murmurs broke out. I kept going. I also have your Slack messages where you called the Montreal project your crowning moment, despite never working on it, and your attempts to sabotage multiple team members by altering their performance metrics. Dead silence, except for the jazz trio, still awkwardly playing in the corner. Bless their hearts. Erin stepped toward me like she thought she could still take control. You're clearly confused. I cut her off. Oh, I'm not confused. But the ethics committee will be. Or maybe HR. Or maybe the Department of Labor, depending on how deep this goes. At that point, she looked like a statue. Still smiling, but her eyes had gone full static. I've already backed up everything, I said calmly, and forwarded it to internal oversight. So even if you run, the story stays. Someone dropped a glass. In the back, I saw Derek from IT mouthing holy sh*T to himself. Erin just stared at me like she'd never really looked at me before. Because she hadn't. No one had. The quiet guy in the corner? Just burned her world down with one sentence. I left right after that. Didn't wait for the fallout. Didn't want applause. I didn't even finish my drink. Just walked out into the December air like I was stepping out of a movie scene. Vanessa followed me. You really did it, she said. I told you I would. She stared at me for a long moment. You know there's no going back now. I don't want to go back. She slipped her hand into mine as we waited for the Uber. You know, I don't think anyone's ever seen this version of you before. They have now. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was scared, but because I was ready. I lay there staring at the ceiling, heart still drumming like a war cadence, waiting for the tremors to hit. I'd thrown a match into a dry forest. It was only a matter of time before the smoke reached the sky. The next morning, the email started. First came a generic all hands from HR, requesting availability for urgent individual meetings regarding internal matters. I knew that tone. It was the kind they used before someone resigned. By 10:17 a.m., I got a call from Janice in internal audit. We'd like to speak with you today if you're available. In person. I smiled. Absolutely. I've been waiting. They booked me into a windowless conference room. Typical. There were two people waiting. Janice, stone-faced and professional, and a guy I didn't recognize who introduced himself as part of legal. The third chair was for me. There was a recorder already running. Is this okay with you? Janice asked. Record away, I said. I brought backups. I slid a black zip pouch onto the table. Inside, a USB drive with everything. Every spreadsheet, every altered report, every Slack screenshot, every forwarded email. Labeled, cataloged, timestamped. Janice stared at it like it was a live grenade. You came prepared. I had 3 years to be. For the next hour, I walked them through it all. Methodically. Unemotionally. Like I was presenting a case file, not the culmination of years of betrayal and bitterness. Janice barely blinked. The legal guy scribbled constantly. At one point, he paused and said, "This goes way beyond ethics violations." I nodded. "You might want to talk to your finance team." She funneled more money than you realize. They didn't even ask why I'd kept it to myself for so long. They could tell. This was personal. By 2 p.m., Aaron was escorted out. I didn't see it myself, but the texts started flying. Vanessa sent me a message with 3 fire emojis. Derek sent a grainy zoomed-in photo of Aaron being walked down the glass corridor, flanked by security like she was a disgraced senator. Her badge had already been deactivated. Someone told me she tried to claim I doctored everything, that I had a vendetta. HR had apparently replied, "We verified the records." By 4 p.m., an email went out from the COO. Effective immediately, Erin Lattimore is no longer with the company. We thank her for her contributions and wish her well in future endeavors. Classic corporate whitewash. But the real story was already spreading like wildfire. The aftermath hit like a storm. People who'd once kept their heads down were now emboldened. I wasn't the only one with receipts. Others started coming forward. Ron dug up emails from 2021. Sandra shared calendar invites showing Erin had canceled her review meetings. Harper even came back from her new job to submit a complaint. It wasn't just me. She'd built her entire career on theft, sabotage, and manipulation. She didn't fall. She collapsed. The only question was how deep the hole went. I got called into 3 more meetings that week, each one higher up the chain than the last. They wanted to know everything. I told them everything. But here's the twist, I still had a job. In fact, 2 days later, Janice called me again. "Would you consider taking interim lead over the strategic planning team?" I blinked. "What? You're already doing half the work. And frankly, people trust you more." I didn't say yes. Not right away. I told her I needed to think about it. Because the truth was, I wasn't sure I wanted to stay. After everything Erin put me through, part of me wanted to walk out the front door and never look back. Burn it all. Wipe the slate. Go live off-grid, grow a beard, and take up woodworking or something equally dramatic. But another part of me wanted to take the corner office and plant a flag in the ashes. That Friday, I met Vanessa for drinks. She raised her martini glass the same way she had at the party. To poetic justice. I clinked mine against hers. To collateral damage. She leaned in, smiling. "You know you're a legend now, right?" "I'm not a legend. I'm just the guy who finally said something. That's all it takes sometimes." There was a long pause between us. Comfortable. Charged. "You staying?" she asked. "I don't know. You should." I tilted my glass toward her. "Only if you stay too." She smiled, sly and knowing. "We'll see." Back at the office, Erin's office remained empty. For a few days, they kept her name on the door, but no one dared step inside. It was like a shrine to downfall. Then someone from facilities came and scraped the plaque off with a putty knife. Just like that, she was gone. But I wasn't. Not anymore. The Monday after Erin's career funeral, I walked into the office 10 minutes early. Habit. Same coffee, same keycard buzz, same fake ficus by the elevator. But something was different. People looked at me now. Not just looked, watched. As if waiting for something. Like I might walk on water or pull a confession from their guilty conscience with a single glance. In the office world, going from invisible to infamous in a week is like lighting a match in a room full of gas. Some people admire the flame. Others wonder if they're next. I wasn't stupid. I knew there'd be consequences. Not from HR. Not legally. From them. The ones who benefited from Erin's reign. The ones who still had skeletons in their desks and blood on their keyboards. Her old office was still empty, but her scent remained. That expensive citrus floral perfume she used to claim was unisex, even though it lingered like the memory of a bad ex. People avoided walking past it, like the carpet might still be cursed. I passed it without flinching, because unlike the others, I didn't fear what she'd left behind. I knew. Janice sent me a formal offer to step in as interim director of strategic planning. Higher pay, more responsibility, no promise of permanence, but a seat at the table I'd been locked out of for 3 years. I stared at the email for 10 minutes before clicking reply. I accept. And just like that, I wasn't just the quiet one anymore. I was the boss. The first meeting I held was mandatory. I didn't say much. I didn't need to. I let the silence stretch until it made people uncomfortable. Erin used to fill silences with passive-aggressive jokes and syrupy platitudes. I preferred letting the air vibrate with unsaid truths. Then I dropped the first bomb. There will be an internal review of all budget allocations and past project credits effective immediately. If you've done good work, you'll finally be recognized. If you haven't, well, I let that well dangle. No smiles. No jokes. Just truth. Later that afternoon, Vanessa swung by my new office. She leaned in the doorway, arms crossed, sipping from a can of LaCroix like she was watching a soap opera unfold. Nice speech. You really went full mafia boss with that last line. I smirked. It wasn't a threat. It was a guarantee. She stepped in, shut the door, and lowered her voice. You know she wasn't alone, right? My smile faded. Go on. Aaron had help. People who covered for her. Helped hide expenses. Redirect blame. People who owed her favors or wanted something in return. I leaned back in my new leather chair. Names. She paused. Derek from IT's already sweating. I think he was the one who accidentally deleted Harper's project backups last year. I nodded. Noted. But the real threat, she said, voice dipping lower, is Todd. My eyes narrowed. Todd was the VP of operations. He'd never talked to me directly, only looked at me the way you'd look at someone in the break room microwave line. Tolerable, forgettable. Why Todd? Vanessa walked to the window, peering out like she expected him to be listening through the vents. Because he and Aaron had a thing, and he signed off on most of her reports without question. If she goes down officially, he's next. So that's why HR handled it so quietly. No lawsuits. No announcements. Just a polite corporate erasure. Think he'll come for me? Vanessa turned around, her eyes sharp. I think he's already started. That evening, I found my office door slightly ajar. Not unusual. But on my desk sat a manila folder. No note. No sender. Inside, 3 photos. One was of me and Vanessa at the bar the night of the party. My hand was barely grazing hers. The second was of us walking out together. The third? A blurry close-up from outside my apartment. No caption. Just silence. A threat wrapped in implication. Todd was watching. The next morning, I wore a darker suit. Made no mention of the photos. Said nothing to Vanessa. I wasn't going to scare her. Not yet. But I did make one move. I scheduled a meeting with Todd. 15 minutes, behind closed doors. No assistants. No witnesses. Just us. He greeted me like an old friend, voice slick and full of fake warmth. Hell of a promotion, huh? Must feel good. It does, I said. Strange, though. I thought you'd be angrier. He laughed. Why would I be angry? Aaron made her bed. We all knew she wasn't. Careful. I studied him. Smiled. Strange thing. Someone left photos on my desk. His eyes flinched. Barely. But I saw it. Oh, he said casually. Photos of what? Of me. Out in public. After hours. Nothing major. Just felt invasive. He said nothing. So I leaned forward, voice low and deliberate. Next time, send higher resolution shots. That last one was garbage. Todd's smile never faltered. But his jaw twitched. Message received. After he left, I deleted the email accepting the interim role. Then I typed a new one. To the COO. Subject. Formal request for permanent position. I'm not here to babysit what's left of Aaron's legacy. I'm here to rebuild. And I'm not going anywhere. Jay. By the time New Year's rolled around, I wasn't just interim director anymore. I was the gravitational force in that building. People orbit around power, and I had it now. Not because it was handed to me, but because I took it, brick by bitter brick. Todd? Still smug. Still dangerous. But quieter. After our little photo op conversation, he backed off publicly. But I knew better. Men like him don't give up, they calculate. He was biding his time, hoping I'd slip up. So I decided to move first. A week later, I met with a man named Silas. Silas was old school. Corporate investigations. Black tie. Gray hair. Voice like gravel. I'd been connected to him by Janice from internal audit after I told her I suspected there was rot beyond Aaron. She didn't blink. Just said, we've suspected Todd for a while. But no one's had the nerve to dig deep. I do, I said. But I need help doing it quietly. Silas grinned. Then let's get to work. Over the next 2 weeks, we tore through procurement records, ghost vendors, overlapping invoices. What we found made Aaron look like a petty shoplifter. Todd had funneled over $170,000 through shell company expenses over 2 years. First-class flights to conferences that didn't exist. Consulting fees paid to his cousin. Bonuses allocated to anonymous contributors that linked back to a burner bank account. He hadn't just bent the rules. He'd set them on fire. And now, I held the extinguisher and the footage. Because Silas? He had a knack for security audits. In one of Todd's private meetings, one where he told a junior exec to get on board or get out, was conveniently caught on a hidden camera that shouldn't have been active. Oops. I didn't blow it up right away. Instead, I called for a Friday boardroom meeting. 4 p.m. classic corporate chess move. Late enough to trap people before the weekend. Too late to escape, too early to dodge. Every director. HR, legal, Janice, Todd, and me. I stood at the head of the table, folder in hand. Vanessa stood near the door, calm and unreadable. She wasn't just there for support. She had her own set of receipts. Todd had tried to scapegoat her during the supply chain crisis last spring, and she'd kept everything. It was her turn too. I started slow, projected the spreadsheets, circled the vendor overlaps, then showed the bank account routing matches. At first, the room was quiet, just corporate breathing and click-clicks of pins. Then I played the audio clip. Todd, if you want to keep your job, you'll approve that budget. Aaron did it all the time. This is how the system works. You play along or you disappear. The room shifted. Eyes turned. Todd tried to laugh. This is insane. Fabricated. So I handed the legal rep the files. Feel free to verify. We already did. He flipped through. Didn't even look at Todd. Just nodded. It's enough to suspend him pending a full investigation. Todd's face went full corpse. He tried to stand, but Janice, stone-cold Janice, tapped her phone. Security entered. 2 men. No words. He knew better than to fight. As they let him out, Todd looked over his shoulder at me. You planned all this. Correct, I said. Enjoy Palm Springs. Aaron recommends the resort. The door closed. The silence afterward was deafening, until the COO said, Jesus Christ. I finally sat down. There's your rod. Aaron was just the symptom. Todd was the disease. He nodded slowly. And what does that make you? I looked him dead in the eye. The cure. The following Monday, my promotion to permanent director of strategic planning was announced. No email euphemisms. Just truth. And with it came something else. Respect. Not fear. Not awe. Just respect. People stopped whispering when I walked past. They came to me with problems. They invited me to real meetings. I wasn't background noise anymore. I was necessary. Vanessa and I started seeing each other. Quietly. Carefully. We weren't interested in office gossip. Besides, there were juicier stories now. Like the one about a ghost director who'd embezzled 6 figures and walked out like a rat off a burning ship. But every Friday, we left early. Grabbed drinks. Talked about everything but work. One night, she leaned on my shoulder and said, you burned it all down just to build it up again. I kissed her forehead. I didn't want revenge. I wanted justice. She smiled. Same thing. Only smarter. Last week, I walked past Aaron's old office. It's mine now, but I still keep the lights off sometimes. Just to remind myself of what darkness looks like. What silence can conceal. What smiling faces are capable of. I used to be the quiet one. Now, they listen when I speak. Because I didn't just survive the fire. I became it.